My whole life, I felt like something was wrong. I thought maybe I was gay or transgender. But having tried both of those, it wasn't that. Then I realized what it was. I hate walking. Now, thanks to the Relax Power X motorized scooter from Ambulate, I haven't walked in 2 years. And I'm much happier. My cup is always half full, and thanks to the cup holder, it never spills. Now I never have to worry about indigestion. I can roll my fat ass to the fridge without ever getting tired.
The Relax Power X motorized scooter from Ambulate comes with special parking permits for your car, so you can begin living a life of luxury. Why worry about health, your weight, or what people think of you? Now, you're faster. Motorized scooters are the future of the American lifestyle. Carefree. That's the Relax Power X from Ambulate. Take the weight off your feet.
I blacked out behind the wheel and killed my best friend.
I woke up and realized I'd urinated on my wife. Oh, that bitch was mad.
Drinking is always a lot of fun, but sometimes we all need to stop for a while. But you don't want to quit because you'll miss the buzz. Smokers have the tobacco patch. Now try the Elko patch. It's the same refreshing feeling of your favorite drink, but delivered transdermally and discreetly. Pick up the Elko patch at your local pharmacy.
You're taking your workout to the line, but you're hot, sweaty, sore, exhausted. Your face is going numb. You're ready to quit.
Athletes never quit.
Now you can go longer like an athlete. You may not be an athlete, but you can drink like one. How? Through revolutions in nano-level high-performance electrochemistry. Electrolytes Extreme Sports Drink. If you don't replenish electrolytes as you work out, you could die. We've analyzed sweat scientifically with a microscope and gone deep into the electrolytic submolecular level. You need to replenish those electrolytes.
What are electrolytes?
Who cares? They're in extremely short supply, and we sell them. Look the part. Have trendy colored sweat just like in the adverts. Electrolytes Extreme Sports Drink comes in Arctic Douche, Icicle Fire, and Yellow Snow. Push your body to the extreme. Then drink it back to health. Electrolytes Extreme Sports Drink.
Sometimes a family wants that Italian taste without those tiny Italian portions. That's why you should come to Al Dente's. All the Mamma Mia you can eat. It's Italian food just like you'll never get in Italy. That's because it's an American-themed restaurant. So the portions are huge, and the food tasteless and unhealthy.
My old man grew up in Naples, so when he comes to visit me in the U.S., I take him someplace unique, reasonably priced, and at the closest strip mall. I take him to Al Dente's.
Al Dente's has hamburger tortellini, rotini with spray cheese, Vienna sausages and penne, and a special linguine with cheesy poof sauce.
Hey, when you're at Al Dente's, everyone's like family. A hyper-macho, food-obsessed, alcoholic family just like mine.
Al Dente's, we got more of what you love and less of what you don't. Like more calories and fat, and a lot less taste and nutrients. That's why it's Al Dente's. All the Mamma Mia you can eat.
From the people who brought you the Domestabot, we proudly present El Chamuco Roboto. It's the robotic future from south of the border.
Politicians may demand illegal aliens leave the country, but I want a Mexican gardener I can ogle.
El Chamuco Roboto. You little devil. The illegal immigrant mower who's also a robot.
I used to pick up illicit gardeners at the Home Depot, but then the conservatives cracked down on our freedoms. Now I have the next best thing, El Camucho Roboto.
Actually, that's El Chamuco Roboto. He can mow the lawn, if you know what I mean. Comes with 6 different attachments. Edges, clips, and mows special designs like a lightning bolt, landing strip, or danger, nasty infection ahead.
My life will never feel empty and devoid of meaning again.
El Chamuco Roboto really puts the patronizing racist back into patronizing racial stereotypes. Visit elchamucoroboto.com.
Thinking about having children, but worried about how it will affect you?
Are you kidding me? Have you seen what vaginas look like after birth? No way.
Babies are too much of a gamble. Who wants to risk having a baby that's slow or ugly when you can order one off of the internet? I love babiesovernight.com.
That's right, babiesovernight.com.
Hey there, ladies and gents. How's everybody doing tonight? It's going to be exciting. I just want to say a quick hello to Leslie, Sharon, let's see, Cassie, Frank. Commercials are great. Let's see. Hey, everybody. I am very excited about tonight. So let's kind of get started here. Welcome, everybody, to AmeNed Paranormal Season 2, Podcast 25. Hope you had a wonderful Thursday. Please, everyone, make yourself at home. And if you have any questions for our special guest, don't be shy, because questions are always welcome here. Every one of you means so much to me, and you are very important to this channel. So I do like to welcome everybody in the chat by name. If I haven't greeted you immediately, I promise I will get to you. Hey, Selena. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to us. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notifications when we go live. Lastly, if you like what we're doing, give us a like. It would be most appreciative. Also, I have wonderful news. AmeNed Paranormal is now streaming with the Parapost Network. Yay! That's why you see the little ghosty. So now let's get this show on the road and let me introduce our guest. Daniel is an executive producer and cast member of the longest running independent ghost hunting show, The Ghost Finders. The Ghost Finders is proud to be featured on Paraflix, Roku, which is Spirit Channel, and can be found on Amazon Prime as well as other leading streaming services. Daniel also hosted the show Within the Walls on, he told me, and I forgot, QSOM Network, and can be viewed on Amazon Prime and all your streaming devices. He has made numerous national television appearances, including shows like Paranormal Lockdown, America's Most Terrifying Places, Paranormal Night Shift, and My Paranormal Nightmare, just to name a few. Daniel has had a lifelong interest in the paranormal field since he was a child. He was raised in a haunted house. Ooh. In 2012, he co-founded the Greater Western New York Paranormal Society, which was responsible for tackling some of the most challenging paranormal cases in New York region. Daniel is a longtime producer and executive. His most recent involvement is with the show Death Walker with Nick Groff, which can be seen internationally on numerous syndicated television networks and streaming services. He was also an executive producer on 2 weekly live radio shows, Live with legendary psychic Bernice Golden and Phenomena Encountered. Both were known for garnering thousands of listeners each episode. In June of 2015, Daniel realized his lifelong dream, the infamous Hindsdale House, a home site of mysterious paranormal insect infestation activity and historical structural exorcisms, which have been featured in different books and featured on national network television series, and became available for purchase. Wasting no time, he made an offer and that was accepted, and he became its proud owner. The 1853 Hensdale House is currently staged in its 1970s period dressing to maintain its integrity for that era when the hauntings began. The home is currently used as a paranormal research location. Daniel has been working, traveling, and studying the paranormal field since 1983. His studies have taken him across 50 states, where he has spent time developing work relationships with historical society, town leaders. He has used his knowledge in local history to aid in his paranormal research for many years. Daniel has over 200 speaking engagements in 2018 alone, including guest appearance at conventions and historical societies. So why don't we welcome Daniel?
Hi.
Hi there. Welcome. I'm so excited.
Me too.
I think a couple more people have come in. There's Irene and Donna. Welcome, welcome. Annette, welcome. I'm excited to have all of you here. So, the first question I have for you. So, we know you grew up in a haunted house. How long did you live there? And can you share your experiences with us?
Yeah, I mean, I lived there till I was 18 years old. And then I ended up buying the house from my parents and moved in there with my family. So I guess that was my first haunted house purchase. But it was, growing up, we were just like a typical family, went to church on Sunday. It was, but things happened in that house. You would hear like footsteps, doors creaking, the floors, creaking like somebody was going up the steps, and weird things that were unexplainable, but my parents always left it off as people playing pranks on us or something like that. So it was nothing really malicious, but it did get to the point where I was starting to get freaked out as I was getting older into teenage years. Like things would happen, like we'd be gone out for breakfast, the whole family, and then we'd come home and there'd be like crayon drawings on the ceiling with crayons sitting in the middle of the living room. There would be my sister's stuffed animals would be moved from her bed, and she was OCD about them. I mean, she would place them on there. She had a spot for each one of them, and we'd come home, and then I'd get blamed, of course, 'cause I was the only boy. But they'd be sitting in the middle of the floor like somebody was playing with them. One time, my parents were camping up in Canada, and I chose not to go and stay with my best friend who lived a couple doors down. And we were in the sandbox in his backyard, and we were playing with our G.I. Joe guys, and I wanted to go get some more of my toys. So I had access to go into my house. And when we opened the door, we heard it sounded like Ring Around the Rosie. Somebody was singing Ring Around the Rosie upstairs, and there was nobody clearly there. And I remember my friend running up the stairs, and there my sister's stuffed animals were sitting in the middle of the floor again. And, it was things like that happened throughout my whole life that just kind of started getting me wondering about, there's got to be something else, And I left, went to college, and then ended up moving back there, buying the location from my family. And then it started happening to my son. He started telling me he was seeing a little boy by his bed, and he was actually visually seeing it. My wife saw a little girl on the steps. No, I hadn't seen anything. I just, was like, wow, this is pretty crazy. My friend had talked me into going to Lilydale. Are you familiar with Lilydale?
No.
It's a psychic community in a southern tier of New York State, and it's really peaceful. It's really awesome. Tons and tons of amazing psychics are there on a daily basis, and it's like going to a resort. It's really nice. And there's camping there. You can go camping. There's really cool stuff you can do. We can talk about that later. But anyway, so it was the first time I had ever gone. Didn't know if I believed in psychic mediums. Didn't even know what I believed in at that point. And I said, well, get me a good one, get me a good psychic. And lo and behold, I remember the lady's name was Ellen. And I was going into her office, and before I even sat down in her chair, before I even gave her $1, she says, you have two child spirits living in your house that died, and they're attached to something that's theirs, and you're inside your house. And I said, wow. And then she started telling me things about my grandfather, things that nobody would have known. And I was just kind of like flabbergasted. I was like, wow, this is crazy, So I started researching the location now, since I have the deed, and I ended up finding out that there were 2 children that died in the house of cystic fibrosis.
Oh, wow.
And then found it on microfiche in the Tonawanda News and the North Tonawanda Library, the town that I live in. But I, for the life of me, couldn't figure out what they were attached to. And one day it dawned on me that there was an attic in this house, and I had never been up there. And it was just like one of those little squares in the ceiling.
Yeah.
So I had to get a ladder, and I remember popping that thing. I just had to pound it, and it was like opening up a can of tennis balls. It was like whoosh, like it's never been opened before, and it was all dusty. And I got up in there, and I remember tiptoeing so I didn't fall through the ceiling. And then over in the back, there were these boards, and when I turned around, they ended up being like paintings of a little boy and a little girl playing with a dog. And I was just like, I felt like it was like my first lifetime Scooby-Doo episode. It just took me 25 years to figure it out, like, but I felt like once I found the items that they were attached to and told them that it was okay, that it was like I helped them move on, like,
oh wow, yeah,
it was like a really good feeling. And I felt like they could come back though. Like I felt like they came back, but it was never as active once I found those paintings, because it was like, like we allowed them to move on, and we acknowledged who they were, and we were able to acknowledge what they were attached to, and then that was it. So that's really what got me started, and from that point on, I was just addicted to history, research, and going forward with everything that I did in the paranormal.
That's awesome. What did your friends think growing up and knowing you lived in a haunted house?
It wasn't something that I really talked about,
right?
So it was different, So I mean, the friends that knew it experienced it with me, so it was like they were kind of in the same boat that I was. And awesome. It's funny. It wasn't until later did my sisters talk about it. My mom finally came out of the closet, and she's like, "A shadow chased me in the basement." I was like, "What?" Like. So like all this stuff started coming out later in life, and we actually did a television show called My Paranormal Nightmare based on that story. It's been on Travel Channel, and you can still catch it sometimes, or it's on Discovery Plus right now.
That's really awesome. That's interesting, because I too but I was quite young, saw something, and you're talking 70s. The parents are like, why does she keep crawling in bed with me? And said they would lock their door.
Yeah.
It's like back then, like you, my parents finally spoke up and said, yeah, this happened, weird stuff. Have you ever done residential investigations, and can you somewhat share your experiences doing them?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically a big chunk of my life, trying to do, doing residentials. We did bigger locations too, like the typical ones that you would see on television shows. But for the earlier part of my career doing paranormal stuff, it was a lot of residentials. We documented a lot of the bigger cases that were interesting, and got permission from the owners to like make little documentaries out of them. And all those are still up on my YouTube station. There's like four years worth of documentary up there it's called Behind the Shadows. And it was just an amazing feeling to be able to go in a way we're like counselors, like because people don't understand what they're dealing with, and being able to explain things to them to make them feel better about what's going on. It feels good inside. One of the residential cases that I remember, it was amazing, because the family was afraid, like things were happening in the house that they thought was demonic. The daughter wouldn't stay at the home, and I said, well, what's happening? Like what's going on? Oh, the lights flicker, and the doors in the kitchen open sometimes, the TV turns on. I'm like, so it's one of those situations where you knew you had to go, get the evidence. The husband didn't believe in it at all, what was going on, and just go there to try to talk to them a little bit, make them understand what could it possibly be. They're also living on Indian territory, so I mean, there's a lot of what it could be, but it definitely didn't sound like a demonic case. I've dealt with a couple of those in my life, and that's it. So it was a situation where all these little things were happening. The son wouldn't sleep in his bedroom; he would sleep on his parents' floor. So the family was kind of in disarray. The daughter was sleeping at her boyfriend's house. The little boy was sleeping on his parents' floor. They had no privacy, and we started doing an investigation, and a lot of the noises and stuff that they were getting were coming from the basement, and we ended up getting EVP. When we said who's there, and it said Dallas, and it didn't make any sense. It's like, Dallas, who's called Dallas? The only thing I knew about Dallas was the state and the show, and
Right.
so we took the EVP up and had the family sitting at the table and played the EVP, and the wife looked stunned. The kids didn't really know what it was, and when I looked over to the husband, he was almost in tears. And I said, "Does this mean something to you?" And he's like, "That's my father." I go, "Are you kidding me?" And he's like, "No, that's the name of my father, and that sounds just like him." So it got to the point where the son felt so comfortable that this was his grandfather coming there and checking up on them. And that's what he was trying to do, is let them know that he was there. And the son, actually, he was like 11 or 12 years old, went into the basement with us and had a conversation with his grandfather through a spirit box.
Wow.
And then we went up and helped him clean his old room out. He moved everything back into his room. He was brave enough to start sleeping in his room. And it was like we were able to just kind of help, with
Right.
what they were scared of, and give them some type of closure and knowledge of what it was. And that's the best feeling in the world.
Yes.
Doing those residential cases is being able to help people.
Yeah.
So it's always
That's
been a big part.
amazing.
I'll still do them to this day. Like, I'm so busy. But just a few months ago, I had a call in my town, and I called up some of the people on my team. I'm like, "Who's available? We got to go help this girl out." And we went, and we did. We do what we can do when we can do it. The cool thing about where I live is we have such an array of amazing people in our network, in our area, that we can, if I get a call, I mean, my web page is still up, and if somebody gets a hold of us and is in need, and I'm not able to do something, or our team can't do it, we defer it to other people that are still doing the residentials on a daily basis and stuff. So just don't overwhelm everybody. So
that's awesome. I just want to say hello real quick to Irene. Let me welcome Heffron Paranormal. Let's see, we have a couple. Full Dark, hello Amy. Crow of Judas, hey.
A lot of YouTubers, huh?
Yes. We keep up with our stuff, and I tend to get a lot of YouTubers on here. Donna had a quick question. Where are you located?
My home base is Buffalo, New York. So I'm in the Western New York area region. Very close to Canada, very close to the haunted house that I own. The Hindsdale House is in the southern tier of New York State. It's closer to Erie, Pennsylvania. It's like right on the border of New York and Pennsylvania.
That's it. Like you said, it is so much better up there, because I'm in the South. I'm in Georgia. It's hard to get a good group together down here, which is weird. Let me also welcome Parasolo and Wayne. Welcome. Lords, welcome. I had the honor of interviewing Tony Rathman.
Nice.
That was nice. He's a great guy. So what was your longest residential case?
The one that probably started about 7 or 8 years ago and still going on today.
Wow.
And the only reason that it's going on today is because you get some of the people you get attached to, and then I'm continuously checking. I feel like checking up on somebody is an open case still, because she went through a lot, and that was one of the cases that was deemed demonic, that we had to actually bring in an exorcist for.
Oh, wow.
So it was something that always, in the back of my mind, you're always worried about it. She's still living in this house. Is everything okay? So, and she's actually become a very good friend of mine. So I'm checking up on her every few months and just seeing how she's doing. She's actually, for the first time, because she's been staying away from the paranormal and everything about it, just because she felt like that kind of opened up the portal in her house and kind of opened up that whole other side of the world. But she, this past summer, she actually came out and was an extra when we were filming reenactments for Deathwalker, which was really cool. So she actually came out and played like a gypsy woman giving birth, and it was really, really neat.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. So I mean, besides for that, I'd say probably the longest case was probably a month, 4 to 6 weeks usually, with follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
Once they say that everything is good, obviously our phone number doesn't change.
Right. Let's see. Crow says this interview is great. So And the next question I have, and sometimes people are shocked by this. What is your thoughts on paranormal teams charging for residential investigations?
I mean, who am I to put a price on something? I don't think, I don't personally charge, but I don't get all bent out of shape about what other people do. I feel like people spend, I honestly, I feel like people spend too much time worrying about what everybody else does instead of worrying about what they could be spending time on doing good things.
Right.
I don't have time. Like I see them on Facebook sometimes where people are complaining about teams charging and whatnot. I mean, as long as they're not taking advantage of people, if it's like $100 for like gas or something like that, like it's a donation, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. And if they're sitting there and staying with the family and helping them and continuing on with the investigation and making sure that they're following through till the end, I don't have a problem with that. I've never charged anything. I've taken a donation here and there, like gas or whatever, if I had to travel out of town or something, but it really, I don't really let it bother me.
Right.
I mean, I think if everybody just kind of worried about themselves and did what they were supposed to do and did everything in the light of goodness, that there would be a whole lot less complaining and a lot more unity.
Right. Absolutely. So what is your favorite location and why?
Man, there's a lot of locations I've been to. There really is.
A lot.
Favorite. Man. I'm trying to think of some of my favorites. I mean, there's a theater that I went to that I experienced a shadow figure at that freaked the hell out of me. That'll always stay in the back of my mind. There's this, trying to think of the name of the place. It's in Davenport, Iowa. I'm looking it up because I can't remember the name of it. The Renwick Mansion. Thank you, Google. You're the best. The Renwick Mansion sits on a river in Davenport, Iowa, and I was there for an event with Kelly McCarville, and we basically, it was me and Chris Sutton, Coyote Chris Sutton, and the local group there, and we had a bunch of paranormal or people that were interested in the paranormal. We were running a public event with them for the night, and then we got to spend the night in this old mansion that sits on the river. It's an outlooks the river, and it's definitely supercharged. And that was the first night I ever met young Madison, a paranormal investigator. She was like 11 years old at the time. But I just remember sleeping in the room and getting woken up to, it felt like a maid walked in my room. It was like, you heard the footsteps and whoosh, shit, the shutters opened up like it was time to wake up, Dan, like it was like,
wow.
I got out of bed and I was like, what the heck is going on right now? There's no draft. This is like somebody coming in my room and just waking me up. And it was a really cool place. Definitely felt it there when I stayed there overnight, and it was definitely really cool. I mean, there's so many cool locations. Everyone has a different place in my heart, and I have to go through back and look at all of them and say, what was the coolest? I mean, they're all
right,
because you have different personal experiences going to different places, and everything's different,
Yep. Leslie says, what's your advice for a newbie to investigate?
Just be open-minded, become one with yourself and understanding what you're doing. Just be open-minded, learn as much as you can before you kind of trek out on your own, or maybe try to put a group together if you can. But I'd say like public investigations, participate in some of those, and then just keep learning and be open-minded.
The nice thing is she's in Texas, so they have all kinds of really cool things and celebrity, investigations and stuff like that. So that's the nice thing. During an investigation, have you ever run into anything dark or nasty? I don't like using the D word. I mean, it's there, and however, but how did you or your team handle it?
Once we determine that something is there that I'm not trained to handle, we generally will cut what we're doing and try to put as much positive energy into the area that we can. And then we usually, if it's like something like you're talking about, like a demonic or something like that, we'll call somebody in right away. We'll find out who's available and call in a team that's versed in doing something like that, and then have them try to handle it and help the family out or the person that we're trying to assist.
Right.
That's still something that I don't feel comfortable doing to this day. And I have a lot of friends in different religions that will handle something like that if I were to ever come across it. So,
yeah. I wanted to say hello to Sabra. She just stepped in. Have you ever had anything follow you home?
not that I know of. I mean, I've had the energies there already, but I've never, knock on wood, had anything follow me home that I know of. My kids in the new house that we live in haven't said anything that they've experienced anything, and I have a pretty good way of feeling things, and I don't think that I've ever felt anything at my house. So just at the Hindsdale House.
Have you ever been touched or scratched?
Only a couple times. There's just been probably like 2 or 3. I mean, I've never been one to feel something like that. I mean, there was one time at the Hinsdale House, one time when I was in Waterford, Pennsylvania at the Eagle Hotel. I remember that. I mean, just because it's only happened to me a few times.
Right.
And I felt like I was like almost pushed down the stairs there. I felt like I was suffocating as I was walking down the stairs and I couldn't move. And then it was like I was just like I was shoved. Wow. And then there was an investigation that, and knock on, it was a Ukrainian center. It was like a club in Buffalo, New York, and we were in the basement, and I got some type of scratch on my neck there. But
interesting. Donna says, "Do you say prayers going in or coming out?"
I do both, and I also keep the blessed medallion with me of Archangel Michael. I mean, that's for me. That's what I do. Everybody's different. You have to be compassionate to everybody's beliefs and everybody's different religions that they believe in when you're doing something like this, only because you can't help people if you don't understand what they believe. So you have to really, that's why on the Ghost Finders, I work with an eclectic witch, and I work with all different peoples, all different helpers in different ways of all different types of religions. And, but what I do for myself, that's what I do to protect myself,
Right.
And I feel it works.
Now, I know some people say that getting scratched comes from something negative, but what are your thoughts on it?
I tend to not think that it's a negative thing. I think that when somebody dies, you're left with the energy of the soul or the body or the ghost. And I think that if we as a ghost just lost our battery, our body, and we didn't know how to control our energy, and if they were just coming up to say, oh, and accidentally made a mark, not knowing that what they were doing, I have a lot of intuition that that's what that is. I don't think that, I mean, just because that happens, I mean, the rest of the investigation is a positive investigation. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden it's a demonic thing because you got scratched. And I think it happens more than we know. And not every place in the world is a demon. So I mean, I feel like it's a misuse of energy, in my opinion. So
see, that's what I always had a belief in. I just don't think, like you said, everything is nasty, or they just probably don't realize that they left a mark on you. Right. Wayne has a question. What room or part of the Hensdale house were you touched?
I was touched in the living room at the house. And it was actually, I was doing a tour there with a girl, Kaylee, and she had never experienced anything before. And of course, you want to go to the Hinsdale House to experience it because stuff happens there all the time. And it was actually quite a quiet night there, even for me to say that it was quiet. It was normally when I go there, it seems like things ramp up a little bit because they know who I am. But it was quiet, and it was like, okay, it's getting kind of late. Let's try to doze off a little bit. And I was in the living room, and I was on the couch, and I had just, turned over, and she was over on the other couch. And I just felt like a brush on the back of my neck. And it was like,
Mm-hmm.
what was that? The only light that was on in the whole house was a night light. And then I turned over and I saw the shadow move in front of the light. It was going back and forth. Like it was like,
Oh, wow.
us, like right in front of my eyes. And I'm like, Haley, I'm kicking the other chair. And I go, I know you're still awake. And she turned over and she goes, oh my God, do you see that? I'm like, okay, I'm not seeing things. I go, I'm not asleep right now. And she jumped over on the couch and it happened. It just kept going back and forth. And then it just dissipated into the room.
What an awesome experience.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Frank is my naughty child in the chat. What if a ghostie gets kinky and wants to scratch you up?
My God, I don't know. Wouldn't that be like a succubus type?
Right.
Frankie.
Frankie.
you don't want to summon one of those, from what I hear.
I've seen enough of Rams.
Did you ever see the Twilight Zone where the guy, you go, the Twilight Zone, you go to like an alternate life and you like live what your dreams are, and the guy was like wanted all women to like just throw themselves at him, and it just, the one woman, she just would not stop, and she just kept coming back for more sex, and it just got to the point where the guy wanted to commit suicide because she wouldn't stop coming at him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad.
That's awful. So what is your stance on provoking?
I'm not a big fan of that. I've been in, I don't know, I've been in groups where people think that it's okay because you're talking to somebody that maybe did something wrong in their life, or you did something that maybe is going to provoke them to lash out at you to try to get a response. But I think if you go about things the right way, you're more prone to get better evidence. Do your research, know your history. I mean, even the people that got put in jail for doing something wrong, you want to try to reason with them and talk to them, and maybe they feel bad about it. Maybe they need forgiveness. Maybe they, there's a lot of different ways to try to provoke an answer from somebody without,
Right.
poking the bucket. So
Right.
I'm not big on that. I'm a lot better with just talking it out, trying to get the best responses that you can.
So Dan has a question. Welcome, Dan. How about religious provocations?
I mean, I don't have a problem with that either. I think that's again, like based on what somebody believes, you're going to have to kind of go that route sometimes, in order to help them, or depending on what you're trying to figure out at the location, it might be needed,
Right. Leslie says, did you experience the flies in the upstairs bedroom as the claims been in the past?
Yes, I've experienced flies in the upstairs bedroom. I've experienced bees in the upstairs bedroom. I've experienced ladybugs in the upstairs bedroom. The bees actually were in the house when I bought it. There was 5 in the upstairs bedroom where all that activity is with all the insect infestation. The bees, there was like 500,000 honeybees in the floorboards.
Whoa.
And we had to actually have those removed tastefully, not killed, of course. And now there's a Hinsdale honey stand down on Route 16 where they sell the haunted Hinsdale honey.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
So why do you think some spirits refuse or can't transcend?
There's a lot of thought process behind that. Maybe I'm not the energy or the person that spirit needs in order to cross over. Maybe I'm not maybe there's something that's keeping them here that they needed to finish in a previous life. There's a lot of if, ands, or buts, and I don't know that. I think we all think we have the power to help things move on. Like I feel like I helped those kids move on because it wasn't so active in my house.
Right.
But we're human. We don't know what happens when we die, and we don't.
Right.
That's why we're all researching. And I think as long as we keep doing this and we're doing it with the best of intentions, that we're okay. Like we're not doing things in a negative way. And maybe we are helping some of these energies to move on. But I think there's probably could be a lot of reasons why some may want to stay. Like
yeah,
There's so many things, like look at what's happening over in Ukraine right now. Like there's so many lives being taken. Like unexpectedly, and maybe that who knows what those people could have been that did pass away.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's just so many different things that could potentially be why they stay here and want to continue to try to figure something out.
That's interesting that you say that, because I, back in my early 30s, bought a brand new house, and I call him the angry man. And every time I walked in my bedroom, I could describe him perfectly. He'd come right in my face and just rage. And I found out he fought in the Civil War, and he kept saying to me over and over again, "Not my war. I didn't want to die. I wasn't ready to die." And I was like, okay. I still call him angry man, because he refused to budge. He even followed me to the Netherlands.
Wow. He must have really liked you.
Well, I didn't like him. He was not nice. I'm a big person. I like boundaries. I don't like to be touched. And I remember I was sleeping and I had my foot hanging off the bed. Big mistake. And he grabbed my ankle, and I knew immediately who it was. And I sat up and I was cussing mad. And my now husband was like, "I didn't touch you. I'm not talking to you." But luckily he moved on. Parapost Network coming to Hinsdale September 23rd, 24th with my peaches, my girls. Can't wait. And that's Taryn.
Cool.
Welcome, Taryn. Thank you. And then Selena.
Well, I'll be excited to welcome them here.
Oh, I would love to experience the Hinsdale House. I mean, I've heard so much. Well, we're going to get there. We're going to get there because we want to get to know you first. Selena says, "Okay, Daniel, the big question on all our minds." Oh, Lord. Oh, my. I don't think he's going to answer this. Boxers, briefs, or commando? She's another one of my naughty.
Well, most of the time it's boxers and then commando for other reasons. I'm not a big briefs kind of
guy. Welcome, Cody. Okay. So,
Cody. What's up, Cody?
So, do you have any pointers or tips? Well, we went over that. Never mind. I gotta remember the questions that we're asking here. Where do you hope to see the paranormal field in 10 to 15 years down the road?
I hope that we're not sitting in the room with a recorder doing the same things that we were doing for the past 20 years. With working with Nick and some different scientists, trying to really push the boundaries using different types of equipment and trying to discover new things, different ways of different approaches of investigating. So I'm hoping that we'll be pushed a little farther and actually be able to maybe have real-time communication with an energy, which would be awesome.
Wayne has a question. Daniel, will you be at the Hinsdale March 26th?
Let me check my schedule. I don't know.
He's a busy man.
March 26th. I will be at I'll be in Rochester, New York for Winter Paracon on the 26th. But there's an event going on there on the 26th with Flumeri Productions with Daryl Martin from Ghost Hunters. So yeah, I mean it's gonna be a good event. I think it's damn near close to sold out. I think Chelsea Gill, the psychic medium on my team, is going to be going down there to open up for them. And I know I'm scheduled to speak at an event in Rochester, New York that night. So chances are it's only an hour and a half away, so I may stop in.
Hi, fingers
crossed. We'll see how it goes. I don't like to promise anything, but I do like to surprise sometimes.
Hey, there you go. That's nice. Can you tell us how it came about that you were able to join Ghost Finders?
Yeah. So Rob Thompson, the guy that's in charge of the show, who's been doing it for years and years and years, got in contact with me about filming at the Hindsdale House and doing an episode at the Hindsdale House. And he had asked me if I'd come and interview for the show. I was at an event in Erie, Pennsylvania, and I was zooming back as fast as I could so I could get there in time to do the interview. And I got pulled over by the police and actually got let go because I had a Hinsdale House sticker on my car. It was great. He's like,
oh, that's
Hinsdale
awesome.
House. That's cool. He goes, have you ever been there? I go, I own it, and I'm actually on my way there right now to do an interview for a television show, you know? And he's like, oh, that's really cool. And he had actually been there before on a tour.
Oh, wow.
And, but yeah, so I got there, and the thing that really stood out to me about the Ghost Finders, because I had worked with television shows before, is how professional that they were with their setups, and how thought-provoking they were with how they wanted to try to handle things with the location and the questions that they asked. I just really enjoyed them to the point where I got a hold of Rob after, and we became friends. And I said, you know what, you guys do a really good job. You need to check out my friend's place, or you need to go to this. And I started giving them locations to go to film at, because I wanted to see not only how did they handle it, but what the outcome was with what their evidence would be on the TV show. So, they started going to some of the locations that I offered them. And then the Virgin House location, which, was a few years back, they asked me if I'd come and go be a guest on the show. I'm like, oh, wow, that's great. What an honor that was. And after that, they informed me that the one of the co-hosts was leaving the show, and asked me if I would be interested in coming on full time. And I was like, I actually had to sit back and think about it, not because I didn't like the group, but it's a commitment.
Right.
And I had a group already, and I know how tough it can be to keep a group together. But after a long thought, talking to my wife and talking to Rob, we kind of structured things out, how we were going to film, how we work things out with everybody's schedule. It's not like a typical TV show where you go and film for a month and then produce all the shows and put them out. So we'll go and film like maybe 1 or 2 episodes and really put all of the money that we have into those episodes to make them the best episodes that we can make them, quality wise and entertainment value and everything. And then put out specials now. So we're the things that we put out are kind of like really awesome specials, but they're really high quality. And I don't know, I enjoy the whole process. I enjoy, like I said, working with the whole team, and enjoy being part of it.
The one thing I didn't know, because I was never able to watch Ghost Finders because I wasn't a Prime person. But when I found out y'all were on Roku, I was like, okay, I've got to get it. I was like, because I can finally watch it. It had been driving me crazy. And I had seen Rob do an interview with Sean and Brian. And his interview really just made such an impact on me, because he was so kind and generous with his time. Because a lady came on and says, I'm having a problem in my home and it's affecting my child, and she's seeing things. And I mean, he took such time to help her, and even went and said, hey, get in touch with them and they'll get you in touch with me. And I thought that is such a really nice, great thing to do. It just really impressed me.
Not only that, it is a TV show, but it's also, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with humans, and we all know that, and we all know that, the more popular we are, the more requests we're going to get in our email boxes, from people that are in need, and we try to speak, respond to everybody. I mean, there was a time, like I 911 Rob, I'm like, I'm 3-way calling you right now with a client on the phone. Because it was something that him and his wife, with her being a Reiki healer, that she could do over the phone. And we helped talk this person through and calm them down and get them to a better place. And Megan's the same way. Melody's the same way. Megan, anytime I've ever asked anything of her, she's been just like that. She'd put everything down just to, put a smile on a little kid's face. If I'm at an event and they're like, oh, Megan's not, everybody loves Megan because her parents, she's a witch, right. everybody loves her. But I remember the one time I was in Iowa and the little girl is all she's talking about is Megan, Megan, Megan. I'm like, Megan, you think you could pop on and do a live thing with her real quick? And she got on the phone with her and I took a picture of her and a video of her talking to Megan, and she was just so excited, to be able to speak with Megan on the phone, so
see that to me is just so awesome to just because you don't really see that kind of kindness and intention to stuff like that, and it's so nice. It is just so nice to show people, hey, we can all do this.
It's not about getting something in return all the time.
No,
it's about doing things for the right reasons, and then if something good, maybe sometimes what goes around comes around, but that's not why we're doing it. That's not why we do the things that we do.
Right. See, that's why I've always heard such good things about you guys, and that's just been so impressive to me, is how nobody has ever said a bad word. I've yet to find anybody. Everybody has always said.
I'm sure there's got to be somebody, but there's always somebody.
I haven't found him yet. Wayne wants to know: have you ever been to the Conjuring house?
I have. It was an amazing location. I was actually there for the seance, not last Halloween, but the Halloween before that. We did a live on-air seance with Nick Groff and a whole bunch of other people, an investigation, and Megan was at that one. It was really cool. It was on VidiSpace at the time. It was live to air. We had thousands of people watching while we did this seance, and I'll tell you what, the whole table moved in front of me when I was at the Conjuring house. It literally, this was an old oak, real heavy table, and you just felt the whole table it was you could feel the energy in that place. It's really an awesome location. I wish I had, for me, it's I have to go to the locations that I'm asked to go to a lot of the times. And it's cool because I get to go to a lot of cool locations that I've never been to, but I have ones on my bucket list that I would love to go to and just to investigate on my own.
Right.
And without a big group of people, you still love doing that,
Right.
Just have a place to yourself and maybe one or two other people and just investigate for the night. And it's fun. But that's one of those places that I would love to do that.
Oh, wow. See, that's my bucket list right there, is the Conjuring house. I don't know why it calls to me. So
it's the history, I think, so much has happened there, and it's documented history. And it's
I was the privilege to interview Andrea. So to me, it was fascinating picking her brain. I mean, the experiences.
I remember being on one of her shows one time, and I had committed to being on her show, forgot that I had a concert tickets. So I was in the hallway at the arena during intermission doing and she knew it. It's fine. She didn't care, I didn't.
She's so laid back.
She's amazing. And I was doing the interview during the intermission in the hallway at the arena.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. Good
times. So you talk about Megan, and she's new to Ghost Finders.
Melody's the new one. Melody's the newest member. Steve's actually the newest. Steve was the camera guy, and he was doing a lot of the tech stuff, dude's always here. Just let him be on the team, officially put his face on the. But no, Megan's the newest member. Melody's the newest member before Steve, and then Megan's been on the team way before me.
Oh, okay.
She's been on it for, I think, season 6 or 7, and we're on season 12 right now. So,
well, I love the idea that you have a witch on your team.
Me too.
And
I love it.
Can you tell us how she benefits the team and all the interesting things that you've learned from her?
Yeah, one thing I've learned is don't accidentally walk into a witch's circle when she's doing you want to see a demon piss off a witch when she's in the middle of doing her thing,
Oh my goodness.
No, it was funny. We laugh about it all the time. She's like, damn it, Dan. That good thing that wasn't on camera because she's just a dear and she's a darling and she's a amazing personality and just so loving of everything around her, the earth. But the thing that I like about what she does is she does a ceremony to let the energies know on the property and in the location that we're going to be at, what our intent is for the evening and what do we want to bring to the table in order to try to open up those lines of communication. And the ceremony that she does can be different, depending on what we're dealing with or what we're tentatively dealing with at each location. So she does different things. She puts different things in her cauldron that mean different things, and those each open up a different door for us when we're at locations. But I've noticed that since working with her, that has helped so much with what we do at the locations, because it just opens up that door, and it seems like the energies are more prone to like speak with us or work with us when we're doing that with her.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now we're going to get into the Hinsdale House part. How did the Hensdale House come up on your radar, and what made you decide to purchase it?
Well, I mean, just like any other location, it came up on our radar with our team, my ghost hunting team. The co-founder of my group, Cameron, he's got in contact with all the team through our big chat, and he's like, I booked us a location. It was in the middle of December. And he's like, I just got a cramp, sorry.
That's okay.
Just stretching it out right now. So he got in contact with us all. He's like, I booked the Hindsdale House. Don't research it. Don't find anything out about it. This is the address. This is the day to show up. And I'm going to brief everybody when we get there. And that's not how we did things. Normally, I got all the information, let the team know what we were kind of dealing with or what the process might be. And we got there. I remember driving there, and it was like just like going into a horror movie. Really, like this. There's this house on the top of a hill with no neighbors within distance. My phone service shuts off. There's no way to communicate with the outside world, and here I am, barely making it down the road in my two front wheel drive car, going up this mountain. Now I have an all wheel drive truck, but I mean it's in order to own that house, I need to.
Right.
But I got in the house, no electricity except for the one room. And there was flies buzzing around in the middle of the winter. It was freezing out. And we sat down in the living room, and, he had us watch the episode of A Haunting. It's called The Dark Forest. It's based on the family that lived there in the 1970s that had all this activity happening to them while they lived there, to the point that they had a structural exorcism performed at the location by a priest at a local university. And it didn't work. And I remember watching the show, and I'm like looking at him. I'm like, are we at the location that's portrayed in this show right now? And he's like, yeah, isn't that awesome? I'm like, I got I'm at a house with a failed exorcism in it. You didn't think that was something that you should kind of tell us about ahead of time so we can mentally prepare for something like this? It was bad. I was like, I needed to get a breather. I had to get out of the house. But then I walked outside, and I was like, my God, something would come out of the woods and kill me. I got to go back in that. And it's like, it was the worst of both worlds that night at the beginning. But it ended up being like one of the most eclectic nights for me as far as an investigator goes, because I've been in those situations where you'll sit for hours and hours and hours and investigate and get nothing. Maybe get it one EVP if you're lucky. And what happened at the house was amazing, because to me, it felt like the house was trying to speak. It was like everything I did, everything we tried, everything we did to try to communicate with something that was there, it was manipulating our equipment. It was giving us EVPs. It was talking to us, and I felt very attached to what was going on there, and nothing negative. I didn't feel like anything suppressing at the location, like this had a failed exorcism, but there's all these energies trying to speak to us. And I just started researching it more, and we went there a few more times, and it was so run down. The guy that owned it lived in Calgary, Alberta. And the money that was coming in was getting funneled up to Canada, and they weren't putting anything into the location. So it ended up going back to the bank. And they weren't going to fix it. It was way. I mean, it had a lot of things that needed to be done, like a new roof. It needed there was black mold throughout the kitchen. There was doors were wide open. All the electrical and ductwork were ripped out. I mean, it was just bad. A shell of what it could have been in its heyday, you know?
Right.
And I was there during an investigation. It was basically, we were saying goodbye to the location, and we documented that was one of the last Behind the Shadows that we did. And I started researching. I said, if this happened to that family, this family that had the failed exorcism there in 1970s, got chased out, ended up moving to California. Other people moved in, left, moved in. You know, there's so many more people that probably experienced this in this house. I need to find them. I need to start talking to them. I need to find out some of these people. But the problem was, it was a land lease. It wasn't a typical mortgage where you could just go back and try to find out who lived there. So trying to find those bits and pieces were hard until I actually got it myself and bought the place. So I was researching it, and I ended up finding about this lady, Flo Misnick and Joe Misnick, that lived there in the 80s. And they were the last family to live there, this older couple. And they supposedly had an agreement with what was ever there. And there's some stuff on TV, on YouTube with them on it. I thought that was very interesting.
Oh, wow.
To be able to see the house, what it looked like, to what it looks like today. And I was in the kitchen. I just had a camera on me. My other cameraman was in there, my co-founder, myself, and then the house manager at the time, her name was Michelle. And they were just, exorcism this, exorcism. They were all just talking about the exorcism all the time. And then finally, I just had a K2 meter in my hand, and I'm like, Flo, are you here? And it went all the way up to 500 milligauss in my hand. And I felt like this electrical charge go up my arm.
Wow.
And Cameron's like, who's Flo? And this is why I think it's important to do as much research as you can on locations, because that was not what they were talking about, was not triggering anything. But the fact that I knew about Flo and Joe and know that she is dead and know that she lived there, I got that connection with her at that house. And I continued to have what I felt like is a conversation with her in the kitchen. Then I said, Flo, will you hold my hand as we go up the stairs? The K2 meter stayed lit in my hand all the way up the stairs into the master bedroom. And then when I tried to cross over into that room with all the insect infestation, I lost her. But I felt such a connection. And this house was getting torn down. Like literally within weeks, it was being torn down. And I'm like, that's what kind of fit in my mind. I was like, I need to save this place. There's so much more that needs to be said. The house needs to have a voice. There's energies here that need to speak. There's so much mystery at this location, so much folklore that needs to be looked at. And I ended up getting a meeting with the bank and had to go in and actually plead my case. I had to come up with tons of cash because it had to be a cash deal because of all the stuff that needed to be done. But no bank was going to go look at that and say, okay, let me insure this. It was I had to have a cash deal in order to save it. And everything fell into place. Everything. Like when I thought I was done, I'm like, okay, this isn't going to be able to happen. Somebody came through with lending me the rest of the money so I could get it. And I was like, this is crazy. Now I'm basically going broke. I just bought a new house with my family. My wife, somehow I got her to agree to let me use the rest of our savings plus whatever else I was getting loaned.
Wow.
And here we are throwing this all at this house that needs a new roof, black mold, no working bathroom, 500,000 honeybees living in the wall. So it's unsafe. It needs 10 acres, by the way. It's 10 acres of land that need to be. There's a pond. So, I mean, there's a lot that needs to be done at this place. And I don't have a pot to piss in if I go sign this deal and give them all this money. And I remember standing there in front of the house and I just looked at the place. The doors were wide open. Grass was 4 foot tall. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing? But I took that chance. I just took that chance and did it. I had to. And this is where it turns positive with this place, because then the team started coming. I did a day of caring at the location, and I just kind of put it out there. I'm like, anybody wants to come help paint, chip old, whatever we can get done, come on down, and 63 people showed up with paint brushes, grass, weed whack, everything. And we ended up getting the roof done before winter because of donations. And a lot of it was patch jobs, but you know what? It got done, and we were able to stabilize the location and save the location and eventually fix the things the right way when we got the money and finances to do it. But the support of the community, the paranormal community, is what saved the place.
Wow.
You know, all the people that come there and patronize the location is what helped save the place and make it what it is today. I'm just the bearer of what we need to do, and I have a group of patrons that help out, like with deciding what we're going to do next. And sometimes things pop up, like water leaks and porches that are going to fall over that we have to divert funds to. But I mean, we've been able to get it done in a good way, in a positive way. So
that's awesome. That's so awesome. My husband says we're going to start a GoFundMe for you to get a comfy chair.
Who?
When you're interviewed.
Oh, it's not even the chair. It's I got a cramp in my leg.
That's okay. You got a cramp, and I've got twitches going on. My MS is acting up today.
What did you say? It was 73-mile-an-hour winds in Georgia right now? I saw that pop up on the screen.
Will you pop it back up, honey?
Oh, 73 degrees. Okay, I'm like 3-mile-an-hour winds. I'm like 73 mile an hour. Was there a hurricane or something?
And we haven't had a winter. I want a winter. I want cold.
Oh, come to Buffalo. It's 23 degrees.
I wish. Robbie, hey, hello. He has a question. Has anyone asked where the most active location you've investigated has been? Sorry, he came in late.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot. Like I said at the beginning, the Renwick Mansion in Davenport, Iowa was one that I always remember in the back of my head because I felt like I was waking up to the olden days and a maid walking in my room and flinging the shutters open. It was quite an experience there. And this old theater where I experienced a shadow person that, I mean, I had my typical ghost hunting equipment up at this theater. I had like a laser grid and my camera on, and I was sitting there, and this shadow had to have some type of mass to it because the laser light was not going through this thing. And I was a couple feet in front of me, and it was one of those take a deep breath and stop breathing moments, like it was like, wow, this thing is close to me right now. And I remember getting up and running down the stairs. Like I was freaked out. And then it glided into the projection room.
Oh my
but there's a lot of awesome places, a lot of really good places I've been to.
I want to welcome, hello, Jeff. And he wants to know how are you two doing? He's from Ohio.
Yeah, he's Christian Lee's brother from the Bel Air house.
Oh.
That's that we call him the GOAT. That's Jeff Talon.
The GOAT. Okay.
You might know him as the GOAT.
Yep.
He's a good dude.
Parasolis is get a beanbag for interview.
That's funny.
And I'm worrying because I can feel my eye and face twitching. So I'm like trying so hard. I'm like, stop twitching.
My leg's twitching, your face is twitching. We're having a good night.
My MS medicine's expensive, so I don't have it. I'm waiting for funding to come in. So
is it one of those medicines that Bezos is going to offer at a cheap rate? Have you checked that out yet?
No.
Oh.
Unfortunately. I wish.
No, I mean he's really pushing I don't know if you followed it, but he's opening up an online pharmacy basically, and he's making the pharmaceuticals himself now. He's got like 1,000 that you can get already, 1,000 different pharmaceuticals that you can get with a prescription sent to you at like a portion of the cost that without the markup from all the big pharmas.
I know with MS, like mine is a specialty med. So I just can't go to a pharmacy and go, can you fill my prescription? It's a mail order thing. And the darn thing is like $700.
Damn.
That's the copay. So that's why I'm waiting for the funding, because who can afford that?
Nobody.
Even if I was rich, I wouldn't even pay it. So with all the families that have lived in the Hensdale House, is there a spirit that you've happened to connect with the most?
Yeah, for me, it's been Flo. Yeah, and to expand on that night that happened when I first connected with her.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that awesome connection with Flo. The next day, I go post the picture of the Hindsdale house up on my Facebook page. La-di-da, look where I was last night, everybody bragging, And I get a message in my inbox on Facebook from this lady named Jackie. And she goes, "That's my grandmother's old house." I go, "What?" I go, "So who's your grandmother?" And she says, "Flo Misnick." I go, "You got to be shitting me right now."
Wow.
All the synchronicities falling into place with this house. Jackie's a paranormal investigator. Like she's telling me about things that happened to her when she was a little girl at that house.
Wow.
When she was there with her grandmother. And she's going to we just booked it. It's going to be June 6th, I think. It's a Sunday. And she's going to be doing it's her grandmother's birthday. And she's going to be doing a special investigation to her grandmother, public one on that day.
Oh, wow. That's
It's going to
cool.
be pretty cool. Yeah.
That's cool. Jeff says he doesn't think I know. So I do know the Bel Air house. I've seen many live streams from the
It's
Bel
been
Air
on
house.
TV so many times.
Oh my
now.
gosh, yes. So I do know. I promise. He says that's the most popular house.
The Hinsdale house, he's saying, is the most popular. Only second to the Bel Air house, of course. Right, Jeff?
There you go. So, can you share with us the stories of the because I think you said there was 2 exorcisms that took place there?
Yeah. So the first one was in April of 1974. This was a buildup of things that were happening to the family, poltergeist-like activity, physical altercations at the house, seeing things on the outside of the house, running outside to go see what it was, then looking in the window and seeing it on the inside of the house. So they were having a lot of different spirit activity there, all in the time being counseled by the priest at St. Bonaventure University. His name was Father Alphonsus Trabolt. He came and did a mass at the house, in the kitchen with the family, and it ended up dying down a little bit, but then it came back full force for the family. And when she reached out to him, that's when he requested to have the structural exorcism done. Now, this is before the movie Exorcist came out, so this is all so taboo.
Yeah.
And he wanted to, document everything. He had a film crew there from New York City. He had a famous psychic at the time. His name was Alex Tanis. Ed and Lorraine Warren were there. And I can just being able to go fly to Florence, Oregon, and speak with Clara, the mother that experienced all of this, and just hear it in her own words. It's nothing like the TV show. Nothing like Echoes of a Haunting, or not Echoes of a Haunting, but A Dark Forest. It was so much more than what they portrayed it out to be on that little show that they did. And which is why we want to be able to tell her story the right way. We're actually putting out a documentary and trying to give her some answers before she passes away, of what caused all this. But she tells me, she tells me about how the family, that were all kneeling down in the living room in a circle with the priest, and the priest is doing what he does of the structural exorcism of the house. He's got a cross in his hand. Film crew's over in the corner of the living room filming everything. They got one of those boom microphones, and the psychic is just kind of off in the background. And the whole family's participating in this. And as the priest is reading off what he's doing, they said the whole house shook. Like the whole house shook.
Wow.
The boom mic they put on the outside of the window, they picked it up on the recorder. She said it sounded like it was a screaming noise, like creepy as hell, right? And then it was cleared, like probably 2.5 seconds, and boom. And then it was fine again, and then it came back again, which tells me that it's probably, one, we didn't use the right type of layperson to do the job, or two, it's attached to the land. It's something in the land that's making this place supercharged that it just wasn't taken care of properly, which is why I bring all different types of lay people there, the witches, the shamans, you name it. We brought healing to that land and that property, and it seems to be working.
That's awesome. Leslie says, do you experience any elemental activities outside, or isn't there a Native American history there?
Yeah, I mean, both. I mean,
Yeah.
the land was definitely native enriched. We've actually found artifacts when we were digging the septic system, arrowheads, things like that on the outside of the house, which is why I found it important to bring like a shaman out.
Mhm.
You know, up until last year when Chris Sutton died, he would
Oh.
come out and do a blessing at the location every year, and it was fun, you know. And it's funny. I was on a podcast a couple days ago, and we were recollecting some of the stuff that I learned from him. And I remember we were at dinner before an event. We were doing a public investigation at the Hindsdale House, like 3 years ago. And he got a hamburger, and he says, I need a to-go order. Right. And then he wraps half the hamburger up. I go, well, what are you going to do with that? He goes, that's going to be my offering for the night. I go, what? What are we're giving a hamburger to the native spirits? He's like, it's not about what you give. It's just about that you're giving.
Right.
And opening up that door. So yeah, it was just, you know, it's all been about learning about the place. And
I can remember watching a video of him talking about that very thing.
Did he?
Oh, yes.
Oh, it's
and
so
I
funny.
just died laughing. And I just hate that he's gone because I mean, I was, I followed him. A friend, I've made friends with this YouTube guy, and he moved to Alton, and he actually had Sam come in to explain, because the guy that bought the house, he has abilities, but he couldn't, I guess, understand or grasp the haunting. And I kept telling him, it's the basement. And Sam came in.
Who is the basement?
Yeah, it was his basement's all limestone.
Oh yeah.
And so he's like, do this and this and this, and you'll be okay.
He always simplified things for everybody, you know. Made it easy for us.
And I was so impressed with that. And I just remember him telling that story, and I laughed so hard, you know, the hamburger.
Well, the story goes on, trust me, because I don't know that I don't know when I talk about the Hensdale House happens that I don't talk about him at all, you know. So he's always going to be a part of that. And we're building a cabin there. We're going to name that after him. We're going to honor him in that way too, because he's a piece of that place.
Yes, because I mean, I like I said, I remember he talked so highly and how much he really enjoyed going there and you know, doing his thing. And I just thought, he said, I mean, it just, I don't know what it is about him. He has this just pull on people. I was very upset when I heard he passed. So you did mention some of the things you found during the restoration, but you've also found other things on the property as well.
Yeah, I mean, we found a lot of artifacts on the property, inside the house, outside of the house. I mean, and we've actually found, most recently found a foundation that was buried under thousands of pounds of dirt that nobody would have ever found. We found, when we were redoing the bathroom, I had forwarded some of the wood that was still in decent shape over to Jeff Fent, who is a woodworker in Columbus, and he makes spirit boxes out of the wood and stuff. And he cut into one of the boards, and he called me up. He's like, Dan, you'll never believe what I found in the wood, and it was a bullet shard stuck in the wood. And now this was in the basement. Now there's folklore about two brothers that would kill and murder people and store them in the basement and the attic, and then when the winter thaw came, they'd bury their bodies out in the hill, you know. So my thought is like, my God, did this really happen if one of the bullets gets stuck in the wood? You know, like your mind starts running amok with all these different scenarios, and then come to find out it's pre-Revolutionary War after we date the bullet, right? You know, I have a guy look at it, it's dated, which means that this bullet was shot, hit a tree. The tree was harvested to build the house, you know, and that was there. It stuck. And honestly, if I never met Jeff, I would have probably just taken that wood and burned it. You know, like I wouldn't have never thought to save anything like that. Now I save everything that I can because you know it's
you never know.
Whatever you can, reuse it. You know.
Yep.
Jeff
says, nice chatting with the both of you. God bless you both. Keep in touch from the goat from Ohio. P.S. Before I go, I like the skulls in the background. And then he says, P.S. Forgot the last message. Hope to meet you both one of these days. Good night, God bless.
He doesn't even remember meeting me. Then, if he's saying he'd like to meet me, I've met him quite a few times. Maybe the goat is tired. I don't know.
I think so. He needs to retire. Leslie says, she goes, I'm half Sioux, and a burger is a wonderful gift.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the creatures on the land appreciated it at one point too.
I remember listening to Mike Ricksecker, which I'm upset that his podcast is going.
Yeah, that's who I was speaking to on Monday, actually.
Yeah.
I hadn't been on in a few years, so.
I'm so far behind in my videos, but I saw you and I was like, God, he's a busy man. But I remember Mike was talking about doing an investigation there. And he's like, I swear I saw fairies. I swear I saw it. And he said he remembered. He's like, well, we got to leave something. And so he bit in. They had an apple. He bit into it and then kind of left it on the ground. And he said there was chewed up pieces afterwards. I was like, that's awesome. That is just really.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people that have captured like different lights coming, and that was one of the first times I was ever there when we were investigating the woods. We were capturing these little blue and purpley kind of like lights, and he captured some of that. Yep. He had a lot, and we've actually had elemental teams that focus on that type of stuff come out to the house to investigate the outside of the house only. Jeff Fent captured the only thing that's ever been called is a puckwudgie. Chris Sutton said it was a puckwudgie. Yeah. But this creature that we can't explain what it is, and it's just amazing that he captured it, and he was using different light spectrums in the forest.
Oh wow, that's
some of
it's just so much. It
is
hard to kind of.
It's like a giant. It's like a 10,000 piece puzzle that you just got to keep putting the pieces together.
Right.
Slowly but surely.
Mm-hmm. I always say we have barely scratched the surface on paranormal.
Right.
I mean,
it
just
unless you're on Ghost Adventures or something, right? I mean, they know everything.
My husband says we have something living under our barbecue cover.
Oh boy. What is it? Smoked what? You gotta light it up and smoke it and eat it for dinner tomorrow, whatever it is.
No, he was out there, and it's a family of squirrels.
Oh my God!
And he got chirped at. I guess his babies are underneath there.
Oh my God!
I was like, leave her alone. Just leave him alone.
So a couple of days ago, my daughter's job, she's 14. Her job is to take out the garbage. That's her job. And I'm like, Addison, can you take the garbage out? And she comes in and she goes, oh my God. I go, what? And she goes, when I opened up the garbage tote, I heard something in there and the squirrel jumped out at me. I go, how the hell did the squirrel get in there? They must be like super hungry this year. Like literally they literally like dug like a little circle into my tote. And they bit it out. Now they're just going and that's their way into my garbage. Like I have to build something to put around the garbage tote for the garbage tote. So
at least your teenager takes the trash out. He's fixing to be 14 and.
So my 15-year-old does the garbage and the recycling. My 18-year-old unloads and loads the dishwasher. My 16-year-old mops and does the floors and vacuums. And my 11-year-old will help with what's needed, like cleaning the bathrooms or whatever. They all have to have something. They all have to do something, or else.
Oh, I agree, but it's
I know, teenagers.
And I'm too old for this. I'm 49, and he's fixing to be 14, and I was like, I'm too old to be fighting with him. We've all nicknamed him the demon child. I was like. Oh my goodness. Wayne says, anything happened last Saturday at the Hensdale with Nick after the live feed shut off?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
But it was a private one-on-one investigation with the winner of that event. So everything that we recorded is hers, and that's for her to talk about. It's her experiences. And Adriana Gibson, so she'll have a lot of footage because we recorded on 8 different cameras while we did the investigation.
Oh, wow.
So she's got a lot of footage to go through, and the experience. And we were there till probably like 2:33 in the morning, investigating. We were only on live for a little while. So, but anything that happened on that night was their experience, and I don't talk about other people's stuff when it's their own.
But that's awesome. I mean,
yeah, I mean, she's amazing. Her and her friend. He came all the way from Seattle, like Washington, and she's from New York, New Jersey area. And we had this contest running from last year, and we had well over 10,000 entries, well over 10,000 entries. And you could earn entries by like participating in some of the things that Nick was doing online. And she was up there. She was in the top 10 as far as like amount of entries that she earned. And she happened to win. She just happened to win it. It was a random drawing that was done by a computer, and she said she was super excited, and she got to go out for dinner with them. And I love that, and I love that he does that stuff for his fans too.
Yes,
like, you can't do it. You can't do it for everybody, because he's a personal life. He's got family, and he's got things happening just as much as everybody else does. But nobody ever thinks about that, and. But he does take time for fans, ask Cody in the chat room, how many autographs does he have that say to Cody on them? Like he takes time to like do stuff for people, and part of what I do is like, besides for what I do is I run his shop, and I also help him with social media stuff. And so like I'm scanning through like some of his messages sometimes. And if there's anything important, like a kid that has cancer or like something like that, we always try to like send them something or do something special for them if we can, like just try to raise people's spirits, so it's important,
That's awesome though. So now I know who's going to be reading my email when I ever send him.
Yeah, it would probably
be like
me.
To come on an interview?
Me or his wife or him. That would be.
Well, I better do good then. I better make you happy. I'm just joking. Parasola says, I wish my kids would be helpful like that. And Leslie says, raising teenagers is like nailing J-Lo to a tree.
Trust me, I'm not trying to paint this beautiful picture of my teenagers. Trust me.
Oh,
my God.
Right.
I could pull my hair out sometimes. And I'll tell you what, it's more my wife than me, because she's very adamant about having them be responsible. And she kicks me in the ass sometimes because I'm lackadaisical about stuff. But I can see how important it is to put your foot down sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
For sure.
Hey, Joe. He says he's two streams at once on my end. Leslie says, I have an autographed picture from him, too. And his wife, Teresa, is beautiful, and they just had a baby. Tessa. Oh, I'm sorry.
And they didn't have a baby yet. We are 28 weeks right now.
Oh.
Uncle Dan's counting.
Oh.
And Nick is on the road filming Deathwalker right now. So I've had to do Tessa checks, making sure Tessa's good. She's a strong woman. She's got a good family. So I doubt she's going to need Dan to come bail her out for anything, but I'm still going to check on her.
But you're there. You'll be there.
I'm close. I'm always close.
I
got to pop somebody in the nose for her. I'm there.
There you go. Have you ever had a situation in the Hensdale house that was negative in nature?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something heavy there. There's definitely an energy at the location that's, I'm not going to say it's demonic, but there's definitely a heavy hitting energy there that feels suppressive at times. Like it's likes to take control of what you're doing, take control of the spirit box, suppress the energies that are there in communication with you. And you have to, basically ignore it, walk away from it, maybe go do something else for a while, and then go back to what you're doing. Because if you keep acknowledging it, that's what's going to come out. You don't want that to happen.
Right.
But it doesn't. It seems like it's less and less. It seems like from when I started owning the house and all the healing and stuff that we've done with it, it doesn't come out as much. And it seems like when it does, people are asking for it. Like they focus on the negative things that have happened there in the past, as opposed to all the positive things and all the new things that we figured out. But when you focus on negative, you get negative sometimes, and that's
right.
That could happen anywhere, not just the Hindsdale House.
Right.
It could really happen.
And I guess too, because a lot of people have been talking about other location owners, how they've seen differences in the hauntings that happen when teams come through. They bring their attachments and
sure.
And
that can happen, but that can happen anywhere though. It doesn't have to just be. I've done a public event before and had Chelsea there or another psychic, and we're out investigating like by the pond, for instance, and it turns into a gallery reading because so many energies are attached to people that are in the crowd, and it seems like people that are into the paranormal have kind of a little bit of an opening for the possibility of that being there, which is why I think the energies that are attached with them are so come away so prevalent sometimes when they're investigating, because they're okay with it, and they understand that that's a possibility. But sometimes you don't think about what that possibility could be. Maybe Grandpa's like hanging out with you when you're on that investigation, and he's going to come through and let you know it.
Cody asked, will you be on the episode of Deathwalkers with Nick?
I will be on a couple.
And
yeah.
Unfortunately, Deathwalker's not being aired in the U.S. yet, right?
No, but it will be.
Oh.
We have a big announcement coming. What's today's date? 1, 2, 3. In about 4 or 5 days, we're going to be making a big announcement on Nick's social media in regards to Deathwalker in the United States. So stay tuned for that.
Right. Definitely. Leslie says, I think they know that you're there to restore this place that they're attached to. It makes a difference, truly.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. I think that not only restore it, but also figure it out. It needs to be. There's energies there that there's things that need to come out about that place that will come.
Joe with Truth Paranormal says, I don't want to just investigate the house, but also the grounds. Yeah, but you would have to be there. Yeah, you would have to.
Well, there was a team that was there a couple weekends ago, and it was like 2 degrees outside, and you're not.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you're not going out in that cold to investigate.
I'll have to say that one of the people that I follow on YouTube. Okay, hang on. Come on. My dog's. She's getting scared, so she's bumping up against me. While they were investigating, they were in the house, and you heard like this, like something was hit the house from the outside. They went outside. This was a live stream. I was watching it, and they moved the light, and I kept telling, I was like, there was something there. And they're like, there's nothing here. And I was like, no, there was something there. It looked like a deer head, and you had the antlers, the skull. It was the weirdest thing. And I was like, no, I promise I saw this thing. And they're like, but look, there's nothing there. I was like, I know there's
nothing there now, but I saw something. Hello.
It was where the eyes are was just dark. I was like, I've never, in the 49 years of my life, elementals I tried to avoid. But that really, that's the first time I've actually seen something of, I would assume, an elemental. I know I wasn't crazy.
No, you definitely probably saw something on the live feed.
Oh, it still gives me chills just thinking about it, because I was like, it's there. And it wasn't even that tall. It was, I don't know. It was weird. Let's see. Joe says I've investigated negative 5 before. It wasn't fun, but I did it.
No, I mean, I've done it too, but yeah, no, it's not. And you won't spend too much time out there.
Welcome, Olga. Thank you. So what are some of the things you have planned for the Hinsdale House? I'm excited about this.
So the next big thing that we're going to be doing is building a cabin on the right side of the property, which is going to be wired to the house. So the teams that are going to actually have a built-in base camp with bedding, if they would rather sleep there as opposed to sleeping in the house or in a tent. It's just like a pipe dream type of thing for me. Like you go to a location, just wish you had a place where you could lay down all your stuff and go back there when you need to. And I think it's important for the Hinsdale House, especially for the teams that do the investigations there, to have that extra space because it's the house, we do have an enclosed porch now, and a lot of the teams have been using that kind of like a base camp area,
right?
Which is good. It's better than having everybody in the house because it allows for less noise contamination. But we're gonna wire the house so the TVs on the inside of the cabin will have one of the 6 cameras live streaming as the team members are investigating. That's all being recorded as the teams are there, and then that is given to the teams through Ghost Cam. It's called Ghost Cam service.
Oh, cool.
So that's actually like having a DVR system that you don't have to set up, which is so amazing because I remember with the team having to set that bastard up all the time with those wires and taping shit down, and it was like, oh, pain in the butt. So these are 1080 cameras with 4K sound, really good sound. So, and they capture a lot of stuff, a lot of EVPs when people are investigating.
Yeah.
It's going to sleep about 8 people.
Oh, wow.
And then we're going to also build a museum on the property as well. So a lot of the artifacts, a lot of the history, a lot of that information is available now, but you're going to have more. So the teams, when they come in, they're going to have access to all the other teams' findings that have been there for the past 10 years. They're going to have the history marked from as far back as we can date it. And a lot of the artifacts that we have, like the traveling mass kit from the priest, the arrowheads, some of the stuff that we found in the house, any of that stuff that people want to use for like trigger objects, they can use that from the museum as long as they put it back. And I think it makes for a better investigation when you have that type of stuff.
I love history, so that just, when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just a sucker for it.
Yeah, no, me too, definitely.
It's interesting. Leslie said, weren't there deer tracks in the snow on that live with Nick, or was it another animal?
It wasn't a deer for sure. I don't know what it was. Unless it was prancing, I don't know, but the tracks were definitely weird for me. I don't know what it could have been because they were going. It was like one footprint here, then one here, and it was like it was hopping like that kind of in a way. It was.
Oh wow!
I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
maybe another elemental.
Perhaps, maybe an alien.
Right. Well, that was another thing I was going to ask you about was you're starting to hear more people talk about UFOs. And you hear a lot of people are talking about UFOs being sighted at haunted locations. Like the Conjuring house was one of them.
Hensdale House is one of them.
I was going to say, I could have sworn you said that you had seen.
Yeah, I've seen, and Clara has had experiences there that are amazing. The whole house got woken up. The whole house was woken up to these lights being shined in the window from a ship that was outside of her house in the 70s. I experienced something there. It was after a tour, and I looked up in the sky and I saw this light that, I thought maybe it was a satellite at first, but then it kind of moved so quick. And then I'm like, is somebody got a laser? I mean, it was so clear. There's no way like a laser. So then another one showed up, and then another one showed up. And then they simultaneously kind of zigzagged like that. And then they went, and they were just gone. They just disappeared. And I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
What the heck was that?
Holy cow. I've never ever, because both my family's from North Georgia mountains. I'm not far from the mountains, and I've always gotten. Have you seen Bigfoot? Have you seen a UFO? Sorry, unless my family just flat out refuses to talk about that kind of stuff.
Right.
I was like, nope, never seen anything. I don't know if I want to.
Do you ever just go out on a deck and lay on the deck and stare into the sky at night? Take an hour or two and do that. And
That is my husband. Our goal one day is to buy a big piece of land where there's no neighbors, so he can just, because he lived in Italy for a little bit, and he's like,
Does he call pickles cucumbers?
Ed?
Is he Italian?
No, he's
okay.
Dutch, but he speaks Italian.
Oh, because I just wonder what he calls a pickle. Is it a cucumber or is it a pickle?
Ed. Paging the almighty eye, the all-knowing eye. Come on. We have a question for you.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
An American pickle. In Italy, do they call that a cucumber or a pickle?
That's a pickle.
It's a pickle?
That's a pickle.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just was wondering.
What about the Dutch?
Because
y'all are weird.
I don't know about New York, of course. There's a lot of Italians living in New York, and they call things a pizza there that isn't called a pizza in Italy, but that's okay.
I love that. I love that like 2-second cameo. That was hilarious.
I freaked him out
what do you call pizza in Italy? Really?
Honey?
No, I'm
Honey?
just kidding. It was a joke.
Hello.
It was a joke.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think most people don't know that Italy has a food law, and that pizza will have to be made of certain ingredients to be called a pizza, and it has to be a certain size. But it's by law, so.
Wow. So the things that we have here in the States,
oh,
we might as well just call them gluten because that's all it is.
It's I'm not going to comment.
I would love for you to videotape his comment and then put it on TikTok. I think that would be hilarious.
I'm on TikTok, but I get so frustrated because I was like, I can figure out all the social medias. I cannot figure out TikTok. It's racking my brains. I'm trying.
I have a TikTok too, and it takes time, to master each one, but I'll tell you what, taking little 20 or 30 seconds, ask your husband questions that you're going to get funny answers. And then you've had to have asked him tons of questions where you just like start laughing, right? Some of the answers
all I do is laugh because I'll give you a good one. I had just moved to Holland, and his father owned it. It's not a restaurant, but it's Italian deli, so you can get your canned goods, your wines, cheese, Italian cheese, meats. And so he goes, "Where would you like to go out to eat?" And I said, "I would love chicken parmesan." And this is what I got. Huh? Because what is chicken parmesan? I was like, "What? You don't know chicken parmesan?" He's like, "What is chicken parmesan?" I was like, you beat the chicken thin, you bread it, you fry it, put a little sauce on it and cheese. And he goes, "Oh my God, you Americans bastardize everything." And then had the audacity to take me to an Italian restaurant where Italians work, spoke to him in Italian what I wanted. And the waiter, I was so mad. The waiter did a huh and looks at me, and I went, "Oh my God, make me feel good. Thanks."
My uncle is from Holland.
I call him Freaky Deaky Duchess.
There you go.
And you could ask, oh my goodness, he has all of us rolling. So, no, honey, you can't have TikTok. He wants TikTok.
I think you should have a TikTok. I think you'd be successfully Very successful.
Oh my
Just
god.
breaking down the American culture, I think, would be hilarious.
Yes. He's good at that.
You have a culture.
Oh,
we made our own up, I think. Yeah.
oh.
Well, I love the land of the free and all that stuff. I love that.
The land of the
That's
free.
why I
and the home
came
of the
over
free.
here. It's the
Yeah.
land of the free and
Home
see
of
how
the
we
free.
butchered all the other cultures that moved over here and
well,
Americanized
that's
everything.
not strange to me. We've got like Chinese shops in Holland that are not Chinese. Believe me, they
That's
are
the one
bastardized
thing that's
Chinese.
consistent. No matter where you go, no matter what country you go to, you can always get Chinese food that is the same. You notice that? You can always get your
only in
General
certain
Tso's chicken.
restaurants. Only in certain restaurants. You
Yeah.
just follow the Chinese people where they go, and then I know it's a good restaurant. But we've got like bastardized, Indonesian Chinese food, which is really bastardized because most of the times, like you like Dutch food, well, eat some raw herring, right?
No thanks.
Yeah.
With raw onions.
Although I think if I had to, I would to survive. I mean, it's not horrible. I have tasted it before.
It's very nice.
It's okay.
Especially in May. Especially in May when they're still young.
And it's
We
fresh.
don't eat them otherwise. We otherwise put them in like pickle and then
Pickle herring.
Yeah. So.
But fresh is good.
But it's a thing, right?
He got mad at me because I said, "Did they put oil in that fish?" Because it was so oily, and he's like, "No, it's from the fish." I was like, "Sorry, we don't eat that."
Nothing wrong with a little fish oil. I mean, people take fish oil pills for crying out loud.
I do
for health purposes. I mean, it's good for you.
I've done it, and I give it to my dogs, and it's good for their.
Well, you'll take it in pill form. You just won't eat it.
I've popped them to pour in the dog's food.
Yeah. You ever like take the pill and an hour later have a burp and you're like,
oh my god.
No, by the way, I was looking at how argan oil was made.
What?
You know, everybody is arrogant.
I thought you said arrogant.
It's used in a lot of beauty products and hair products and whatever. And so it's a nut kind of thing that hangs on a tree, but it's the goats that climb in the tree, then eat the shell of the nut and then spit out the inside of the nut, and they pick that up and then make the oil out of it.
Oh.
So, yeah.
What about
I would put that in my hair? Yeah.
Now, what about the coffee? You ever heard of the coffee that the monkeys eat, digest, and poop out the beans, and then the beans are harvested from the monkey's poop, roasted, and then in your coffee cup?
Yeah, we don't do that coffee.
It's actually not bad. I've tried it.
It's not bad. Yeah. That's probably that $29 a pound.
No, it's almost $100 a pound.
Oh yeah,
for that coffee. Other than that, the Jamaican coffee is super
The Jamaican
expensive.
Blue Mountain.
And then the Hawaiian Kona, 100% Hawaiian Kona coffee if you can find it. Not a blend, but if you can find that, it's very good. About $50 a pound. But it's very
I always
good.
find it funny when I tell that in Holland we drink Robusta coffee.
Oh yeah, the Robusta.
Not Arabica, because everything here in America is Arabica.
Yeah, because the Robusta is very
darker.
Well, no, that's how it's roasted, but it's grown at lower levels, so the
Right.
taste is a little different.
It's lovely.
And you actually have to burn it in order for it to taste better.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not grown at the higher levels.
It's a strong coffee.
It's darker. It's just
I love it.
It's what they use.
It's nice.
It's what they use a lot in like Folgers in America. They use like Robusta coffee and mix it with an Arabica because it makes it cheaper. It's more abundant coffee, a Robusta.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very
I don't
familiar
even know
with
where
coffee.
we get our coffee from.
Melita. We get it from Florida.
Oh.
There's a Melita.
A good place.
There's a Melita coffee.
It's called Melita, like the little, like the
Molita.
measuring spoon.
Molita. It's officially German. They make these little for your coffee filters. They're made by Melita too.
Okay.
It's a German brand, but they coffee in Germany is not very interesting, but they make a nice coffee over here. So
they make a good cars too.
Germans, yeah.
Germans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting because in Holland, if you take a taxi, it's either a BMW or a Mercedes that comes and picks you up. I was like,
when you're in Holland, you have to walk around like this.
No. It's more like this.
Hearing with that BMW, please.
No,
it's more like this.
We have a bike. We bike everywhere. We don't really take taxis everywhere. That's for tourists that come.
Are people that just don't want to walk home.
Yeah,
or bike home.
We got public transport, and you know about that. It's like we can go anywhere. It's no problem.
Europe is fun.
It's fun.
You just have to get used to the people.
And
because the Dutch are rude.
No, we're not.
Yes, y'all are brutally honest people. So y'all are rude.
I'll be over in England in 2 weeks.
You know what though? When I went to the UK, I was not impressed with the food. We were starving, and some friends of ours lives in Scotland. They're like, "Come on up." I was like, "Why is there such a difference in food from Scotland and England?" I was like, Scotland was so good with food.
Really?
Oh, I loved it.
I'm hoping that I get to experience some good food when I'm there. I mean, from what I'm being told on my itinerary for this event that I have to go to, it's looking to be pretty amazing.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
You should eat breakfast all day.
Oh,
breakfast all day. That's
because you get beans and toasted bread and
black pudding,
and nice bacon, and it's really nice. Breakfast is the nicest thing in it.
Which Rob would probably be very upset with me. He's let me go black pudding.
He's talking about this place he wants to take me to for some fish and chips. I don't know.
We went to a fish and chip place, and I was so unhappy. But I was also in Brighton. And I was told things aren't really that good. We survived on KFC.
Oh boy.
So we were starving. It was not right. Blood pudding, is that the same? Yes. Black pudding is bleh. Hey, Casey. So we talked about Chris and, the Hensdale House. Can you tell us about how many people have seen different elementals on the property? I mean, I know we've seen fairies. And
how many people have seen different ones?
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably a handful. I mean, that have seen this type of stuff happening. There are different lightings, different types of light things that are popping up and
oh wow,
captured on camera. You can tell too, like in some of the film that that they've done, you can see them like they're moving, you can see like they have like a tail, like it's whimsical kind of in a way.
Oh my goodness. When I heard Mike Ricksecker talk about seeing the little flashing blue lights, I was like, I want to see a fairy so bad. I'm going to have to punish my husband and just go up north and have fun. I mean, there's so many things I want to do. And like I said, it's very different up there than it is down here.
It is.
I mean, it's not that we don't have the lack of haunting.
Oh my God. Did you see that?
I saw it.
Whoa. There's something flying around in my office here.
but I here I don't know what it is. I can't grasp why it's such a challenge to have I'm more north, so I'm not near Savannah. So, and to go to Savannah is just I can just go further up in the mountains, but still it's a different culture. The way I tell people in the South, here in the South, it's okay to talk about ghost stories and tell ghost stories. It's another to actually come out and say you're experiencing something.
No, we have a couple of transplants from Buffalo Lockport that just opened up a tattoo shop down there that are big in paranormal investigators. He was actually Nick McKnight, his name is, and he was previously Nick D'Angelo, and he was on Ink Masters, and he brought a shop from Lockport down to Savannah, and now he's like doing investigations down there.
He needs to come up here.
He would. I'm sure he would. He travels all around, like does a lot of cool stuff.
There's a lot of there's so many cool things because like you, I love history, and I found out that my 2 times great grandfather I was told was murdered, but it turned out to be a whole different story. And I've actually got from 1880, the year he was killed, court transcripts, handwritten court transcripts.
Wow.
And the librarians were absolutely shocked that I got all this information. My goal is to try and find my family's homestead, which is hard because it's now a national park forest.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. But I know in the 70s, they said the foundation, the chimney was still standing. So I was like, well, you would still at least, even if the chimney, collapsed, you would still be able to find the rubble and everything.
You'd think.
Mm-hmm. But it was his neighbor's son-in-law that murdered my grandfather.
Do you have any
and then
old
moved his body? I've tried and tried and tried.
Interesting.
Because with me being a sensitive, I would love to go and try and connect and see what I know coming out that I picked up something. And of course, my husband had the camera and I was like, oh, wait. And he's like, what? And I was like, oh, I hear kids screaming. I said, he's beating his half siblings because he's just a nasty man. And I just love history and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's just, especially up in the mountain area, it's just so darn hard to find somewhere good to really go on. But I wanted to say thank you so much. I had so much fun interviewing you. It was, I am so appreciative that you've given me the opportunity to be able to
well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Definitely. Thank you so much. If you don't mind, my husband will put you on the back real quick, and I'll just say a quick goodbye.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. You're slow on the draw. I want to say thank you so much, guys. Hello, Sheriff. I have had such a blast. I am so glad y'all asked great questions. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate you being here. I had so much fun. I know y'all had so much fun. Next interview is going to be Sean Austin. So I'm excited for that one. And I want to say a big thank you and have a wonderful, wonderful night and the rest of your week. Thank you.